What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. This episode is a reminder to you and myself that regardless of where you start out, it is your actions that determine your destiny. I'll start this with a story about one of my housekeepers. And now, it is not an extraordinary thing for a person to have a full-time housekeeper in India. If you have even a little bit of money, because of how little it costs to hire a full-time person, which is sad in itself, you will most likely have a full-time employee that lives with you to cook and clean and do various house chores. So that position is always filled in most households. And so when I first came here, we went through a bunch of different housekeepers. We had one when I first came, he left, got a replacement, stayed for a while, he left, and so on. About a year and change ago, we got the person that we have now. When I first met him, against what would benefit me, I told him how different he was and how different he seemed than the rest of the people that I had encountered for his position. How he was much more intelligent, more aware, more caring, more understanding. I saw something in him and encouraged him to think about his future and told him how he is too intelligent to be sweeping floors and doing household things. Again, this doesn't put me in a great power position because I boasted his ego and he can ask for more money now and actually now maybe follow his ambition, rendering him useless to me. But all of that was worth it for me. Because where I see talent, I want to acknowledge and nurture it if possible. I told him I would help him if he needed. I told him to use his spare time to read, to do things, to think bigger. That was just one conversation a year ago. Today, that same person, although just as intelligent, just as aware and curious and all the different qualities that are not easily found at his income level, I am sad to say I can understand and now see why he is someone who sweeps floors and why he might stay as someone who sweeps floors, regardless of his God-given talent and endowments. Then there are examples of other employees I've had, ones I have had specifically to help with my father. Their job similar, but mostly confined to helping my father and his needs, cleaning after him, helping him for his walks, taking him to the bathroom, bring him his meals. And since I have had a need for this attendant type position for the past 2 years as well, you can imagine I've also gone through multiple people in this position. And my experience has been the same with a variety of aptitudes and attitudes. And then I had one guy who was the sharpest of them all. He had a plethora of advice from my father from working with doctors in the past, and he was firm, not afraid, not timid, and took it as a personal goal to help my father's improvement. He only stayed for a week, unfortunately, because he ended up getting a job overseas. He still stays in touch with my mother. Now, I see this guy now in a similar role. I see his stories online. I see this guy in a similar role taking care of an elderly person, but in the UAE, and he's flying in private jets, sitting in mansions. Outside of these two personal examples here, I have witnessed the employee turnstile at my local gym. And out of all the people that I have seen there come and go, one stood out. He comes there to sweep the floors and leaves with a shirt and pants ready to meet the day outside his day work, with a completely different identity. One with ambition, one that believes he is bigger than where he is currently. I have examples from my past of employees who worked in my warehouse, could barely use Outlook to send an email, but had enough ambition to get a job in San Francisco in the tech world, and that's where they are today, doing much better than anybody could have imagined. Why am I saying all this? Because like the Bronx Tale said, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And one of the most beautiful things to see is someone underprivileged, under-resourced, under all the pressures of the world, and come out of that through their own might and desire, come out as unrecognizable, resourceful, and turning into a diamond from that pressure. You see, if you rest on your laurels, if you think your talent or knowledge or education is enough to continue to take you to new places, then you will not only be disappointed, but be passed and then lapped by those that came with very little talent, found the knowledge and education along the way, and created a life out of sheer might and will. And that life that you will be left dreaming about if you just rest on your laurels. I have friends of mine in the online marketing space whose future would have been the same in this country, sweeping floors along with their father, who had no seeming prospects of a different life, who felt just as limited as these service workers do. And because of not accepting their fate as it is, and instead co-creating it through conscious, intentional effort, they have sold millions of dollars of services online that would be unheard of or thought impossible by their peer group. The point is, you are charting your own path, carving your own future, one action at a time. And if you waste your time frivolously, if you do not find and create passion within your work, if you do not continuously dream bigger for yourself, no matter what you have attained, if you do not put yourself in uncomfortable situations consciously, you will never know what could have been possible for you. And that is one of the most painful questions of them all. I heard this story on a podcast the other day of a 60-year-old lady, an older lady, who, in an attempt to save her son who was pinned under a car, she lifted and slid the entire car over. Sheer strength or uninhibited innate ability in all of us? Where does it come from? Was it always there? Quite often, it is our mind that puts the limiters on what is possible for us. She says she doesn't like talking about that day because it haunts her with the question, if I did that, what else could I have done my entire life? What else am I capable of? What else was I capable of my entire life? I say this as a reminder to myself, and hopefully you. Nothing for you is written without you holding the pen and scribing. You, me, like my very talented housekeeper, will remain just as we are, content, sweeping our metaphorical floors, in our comfort zone, all the way to our graves. Unless we truly want more, and that desire shows up in our daily actions, and in all the ways you must decide and dare to reach for what is possible for you. Because no one knows what you can be. Even you don't. We do not know the upper limits of our possibilities, of our potential. And it's one thing if you are trying to push that boundary all the time and trying to discover it and putting yourself in a position to discover your limit. And it's another if you delude yourself into thinking that life will be all it can be without you making it so. Without intentional conscious effort from you to continuously push past your own expectations of yourself. Without you having the actionable ambition to follow through and do so, your talent, it will be wasted. But only you can rescue it with a lifeline of your daily discontentment, never being satisfied, and the push for more. Love you, family. Stay true always. See you on the next show.